Hello, everybody. Welcome into a Wednesday edition of the Computer America Show. Mike Cermak, owner-operator of TechGuide.org, is here with us tonight, and we're going to be talking about solid-state drives and why, if you should upgrade to one, all the ins and outs of that. It's going to be a lot of fun because it's partly because it's our do-it-yourself night, or month, actually. In hour two, we're going to have computer and technology news brought to you by Slimware Utilities, the official optimization software of Computer America. And I don't know, Ben hasn't picked a DIY topic yet. So between now and that, I guess.
I'm going because we actually get
until showtime.
We
actually get recommendations for topics, and I'm going through them, and either they're too narrow or they're just not appealing to me.
Okay.
So.
Well, if you can't find one, we'll do news. You know.
No. It's DIY. Got to at least have something small.
All right. Okay. Well, sit back, relax, enjoy the show, and.
What's the point of a theme if you don't stick to it?
That's.
That's a good way to look at it.
Oh yeah. If it ain't forced, it ain't worth doing.
Okay.
Which version of StarCraft are you playing?
StarCraft 2, I forget what the name of this, HOTS is the expansion, Heart of the Swarm.
Yeah.
And, oh my goodness, I'm so addicted. I don't play any other games. I really don't. I don't play any games on my phone. I don't have any other games in my life. I don't have any gaming, no
1 minute until
Nintendo, no nothing. It's
did
just
you get-
StarCraft 2, and I am addicted.
How
And
did you-
what's that?
How did you get hooked?
Oh, well, I played the original StarCraft and
Oh, you played Brood War. Yeah, you did.
Oh, Brood War, absolutely, and the original one, and loved them. Just addicted to all of them, and so when StarCraft 2 came out, it made my world.
Mm-hmm.
And other friends, tell me about other new games coming out, and I said, nope, I don't have time to get addicted to something else.
All right. Well, 30
StarCraft's a
seconds.
good one to get addicted to, though. I like it.
Okay. Stand by. Why am I hearing an echo? Somebody have the screen going? The chat room going?
Do you have your video going?
Nope.
Nope.
Okay.
Your show will go live in 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1.
Broadcasting live, it's America's longest-running national radio talk show on computers, Computer America, hosted by national columnist Craig Crossman. Look for Craig's weekly column in your favorite newspaper. This show is being beamed nationwide at ComputerAmerica.com. Keep it here for technology news, computer products, guest interviews, and your phone calls. You're listening to Computer America.
Hello, and welcome into the Computer America Show. It's the nation's longest-running, nationally syndicated radio talk show on computers. Computer America is heard around the world and coast to coast. And I'm your host, Craig Crossman.
And I'm your co-host, Ben.
And it's Wednesday. That's right. And it's not only a Wednesday, it's the first Wednesday of the month. That means our good friend and buddy and correspondent Mike Cermak is going to be joining us in the first hour.
I think you mean Hump Day.
Okay.
Hump Day.
Hump Day? Okay. Hump Day it is.
Hump.
Oh, there's an H in that? Okay.
There you go.
I just like hearing Ben say hump.
And of course, in hour two, it being our DIY month, we're going to talk about do-it-yourself, and we haven't quite come up with the topic yet, but we have lots of suggestions, and Ben is feverishly going through all of them to pick a particular one that kind of he likes, and then we'll do that. And we'll also possibly do some computer and technology news, and all that, of course, is brought to you by Slimware Utilities, the official optimization software of Computer America. So let's get Mike on. But before we do that, let me just mention that if you have a comment or a question or a suggestion about anything we're talking to Mike, give us a call. It's 347-884-8881. Yes, it's 347-884-8881. That'll get you on and get you through. Email is live, L-I-V-E, at computeramerica.com. If you want to send us an email, that's the address to send it to. You can also join us in our live interactive chat room. From our homepage at computeramerica.com, just click on the button that says Chat and Live Video. It'll take you to a split screen. On the left-hand side, you'll see the entry screen for our chat room. Just put in a username. That's the name you'll be known by when you go in there. Click the connect button, and your browser will move you into the chat room. And also, you can watch the Computer America show. When you go to the page, it will start automatically our live Computer America video stream. It's automatic. It'll start right up, and you can not only listen to the show, but you can watch the show. And you can see myself, you can see Ben, and you can see our guest tonight, Mike Cermak, who is the owner-operator of TechGuy.org, a website dedicated to helping others with their computer problems and answering their questions. So if you're looking for free technical support, TechGuy.org is the right place for you to be. It's been around since 1996, and Mike's site is run completely by volunteers and paid for completely by donors and sponsors. Mike is also one of our very own Computer America correspondents who appears here on the first Wednesday of every month. Mike, welcome into Computer America. How are you?
I'm doing very well this evening. How about you guys?
We're doing great.
Just Andy, just Andy.
Happy Hump Day.
Thank you. I just have to mention this, I guess, because I guess we're going to celebrate it all week. This is the first week of our 24th broadcasting year.
Yes, that's right. We're on the air now 24 years.
That is crazy.
Yeah, it is crazy.
I think that's longer than Ben's been alive.
1 month. 1 month shy.
Is that right? I thought I was kidding. Holy cow.
No. Yeah, no, I was born in early January, and Computer America was born in early February. So.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, look at that. I had no idea.
Just missed him being an egg. Exactly. He's a blastocyst or something.
Oh my, that's awesome.
A zygote. One of the three. No, yeah, he was just born, but he was 1 month old.
Oh, that's fun.
I know. And he was at the party. We didn't know. Yeah,
Yeah, not quite.
not quite.
Aw.
So we always ask Mike, what he'd like to talk about, and I told him that we're doing our DIY month, and we wanted to pick a topic that might be of interest. And you said, you just had somebody talk to you or ask you some questions about solid-state drives, and so we said, well, it sounds like a good idea. So let's talk a little bit about solid-state drives, what they are, why you would want to use one instead of your ordinary hard disk drive, or maybe supplement it, the ups and downs, the pitfalls, the benefits, everything having to do with solid-state drives. We're going to kind of direct ourselves, at least in part, this hour. And Mike also has a tip on what to do if your video dies.
Yeah, I have an interesting story about my monitor to share as well.
Yeah, and it's not necessarily what you might think. It's very bizarre. But if you're, I can say I won't give it away, but we'll talk about that.
That chefs would be interested in this.
He just gave it away. Okay.
Well, no worries. So solid-state drives. Let's start there. I just had several people in the last week or two talk to me about solid-state drives, and I've got to say, if you haven't already put a solid-state drive into your primary computer, you're really missing out. It makes a big difference. And so the basics of it, a solid-state drive is more or less like a flash drive. The USB flash drives that you put into a computer. It's much more like that than a hard drive. Because of the way the memory works. A normal hard drive, you usually have a spinning platter that almost is like a record. It's old technology, and the platter spins, and the media is read off of that. And there's lots of problems with that. There's a lot of moving parts, things that can go bad. It's slow. It uses a lot of energy, a lot of electricity to spin that.
Well, but there are things that can. You have different RPMs. Some of them spin more quickly than others.
They do. Yeah, so you have 5,400 RPM drives, 7,200 RPM drives, even 10,000 RPM drives to make them run faster. But all of those use more electricity, which of course is a problem whenever you're looking at laptop computers or mobile devices where the amount of power it uses matters. You don't want your battery to last just half an hour. So most laptops have relatively slow spinning, 4,200 RPM or 5,400 RPM spinning hard drives, just for power consumption alone. And some servers have 10,000 RPM hard drives just because they are faster.
And the theory of that is that why is a hard drive faster? I mean, it's physically faster, but when we're saying faster, we're saying you can get more information more quickly when the platter spins more quickly. And why is that?
Well, just for the same reason, because all of the information is on the platter. So the faster you can get that head across a part of that platter, the quicker you can get the information off of it.
Right.
Just like a record, if you spin it really fast, you can listen to a 3-minute song in 1 minute. So same kind of idea. It very much is like a record. I mean, it's remarkable how. And the other problem with the spinning platters is, in laptops, we see it all the time at my shop. Is if you get a laptop that's running and someone drops it, or it falls on the floor, and then all of a sudden, that head crashes into the hard drive, and you may not even know the damage is done until you try to read data that was in that spot.
Well, because you're talking about tiny little tolerances. That head is floating just
nanometers, yeah.
Is above the surface. So any kind of bump, it's gonna strike the hard drive, and you would think, I mean, now they have different things they can do to kind of prevent it, but still, though.
Is this why you cringe when you see people hitting their computers because it's moving slow?
Yes, that's terrible. Yeah, absolutely. And you don't even realize how sensitive that can be. And you're right. A lot of laptops have a sensor in it that will try to detect when a drop is happening, a drop sensor. And a lot of them are pretty good. That when it senses that it's starting to fall, it'll shut down that hard drive and try and park the head so it won't crash into the drive. But it's only so reliable. It depends on how long the drop is, if it's fast enough to be able to detect it, and it's just you never know.
Right.
There's just so many problems with hard drives. As far as the amount of electricity they use, there's only so fast you can spin it. Just 10,000 RPM is pretty freaking fast when you think about it. That's 10,000 rotations per minute. That's I don't remember records. How fast were records spinning, Craig?
78 RPM, 45 RPM, and 33 1/3 RPM. So
so if you're looking at the faster of those, the 78 RPM, and try and compare that to the slowest hard drive at 4,200 RPM. I mean, that's exactly. It's a huge difference. So you can see the issue there. There's only so fast. If you're looking to improve the speed of hard drives, which is really the bottleneck on a lot of computers today, we have lots of RAM. We have free RAM. RAM is not free, but it's so cheap now, and processors are so fast, and internet connections are so fast. A lot of times, you'd be surprised at how often the hard drive is the main bottleneck in a computer.
Right, and so yet we still use them. And why do we still use them?
Yeah, because they've been around forever and they've been so cheap, and the alternatives have been so expensive until pretty recently.
It's money. Money is the primary issue. I mean,
money's the problem with all of life, isn't it?
Yeah, cars, boats, planes, girlfriends. I mean, it's
boyfriends. Yeah, it's
exactly.
Wait, what? And so solid state hard drives are the alternative for that, and like I said, they're based on the same technology as a flash drive. It's like the chip from a flash drive, but many of them in a solid state hard drive. That's the basic idea behind it. And they're still more expensive per gigabyte than a regular spinning hard drive, as you would probably expect.
Right.
But they're much faster. In some cases, they're 100 times faster than a regular hard drive.
That is.
I mean, it makes a world of difference, and the boot time is what usually gets people, because that's the boot time. A lot of that is waiting for the hard drive to load Windows and load the drivers and load, your startup programs, and there's a lot of stuff going on there during boot, and a lot of it's hard drive, based. And putting in a solid-state hard drive, it always shocks people that they can suddenly boot up their computer in 5 or 10 seconds at most. Depends on the computer. If it's a really fast computer, sometimes less than that. And it's always funny to see it, because especially if you're used to Windows, Windows has that little logo that shows up, and the colors go around in the little circle, and then it stops there for a minute or two, and then the desktop starts to load. And on a lot of these computers, we put solid-state hard drives in them, and the logo starts to spin, and then it's done, and the desktop is there. It doesn't even get to finish its little loading animation. It's that much of a difference. It really is a world of difference, and it can make an old computer feel like a new one.
Let me play my loading animation.
You miss it, huh?
Yeah, exactly.
What I miss is when I turn on my computer, just because I've been using it for 10, 15 years before I actually got a solid-state drive, you turn it on, and then you hear the hard drives speeding up.
Yeah, it starts to speed up that
more.
I have to send you an MP3 file that whenever the computer starts, you can play it.
Right. You think the computer's broken?
Oh, what? And John, my Windows sound?
Yeah.
Well,
It's playing the Windows sound and it's already booted. You know?
that's right.
Yeah.
It's remarkable, and it's really great for portable computers. Whenever I bought a new laptop here about, I don't know, 6 months ago, and I couldn't get the hardware that I wanted because I do some video editing and programming, and I had crazy requirements for my laptop, but I couldn't find the one I wanted with a big enough solid-state hard drive in it. So I bought one with a regular hard drive in it, and before I even turned the thing on, I pulled the old hard drive out and put a new solid-state in it, and then installed Windows and everything. But they're really great for mobile computers, for laptops, because they don't use much power, especially compared to a regular hard drive. They're light; they weigh almost nothing. And they're so fast, and they don't have the problem with a drop. There's no moving parts. There's just so many reasons why they're superior to a regular hard drive.
But and the last hurdle with them which has been cost, is
Right.
going down, and they continue to drop in price. I remember it used to be, the largest hard solid state drive you get was like 64 megabytes.
Gigabytes.
Excuse me.
Mm-hmm.
And now, I mean, we're seeing them in the they're starting to hit the terabyte range.
Oh, sure. Yeah, and of course, the bigger they are, the more expensive they are. And a lot of the towers where people are upgrading their hard drives, what they'll do is get a 120 or 240 gig solid-state hard drive, put Windows and all of their programs on it, and then use whatever their old hard drive was as their data drive.
Right.
Because most of your data crunching for the hard drive is going to be on your program partition. So you put all your programs and your heavy lifting on that one, and then all of your movies and JPEGs and other stuff that uses a lot of space but isn't really accessed that quick, that frequently over on the data drive.
But that's being changed now, because now you can get a 1 terabyte hard drive, a solid state drive now. So people are starting to make their C drive. It's with some capacity to it, so you don't have to load only the programs.
Well, and just talking about prices here a little bit, first of all, I'll mention a couple of brands. My favorite brand for solid states is Samsung. Samsung has its EVOs that are really just very reliable, very fast. They're wonderful. Kingston is also very popular. Crucial, which is known for RAM, they make some great solid states as well. There's a lot of good ones out there, and really, I would stick to one of those big three. There's a couple other generic ones out there, but for the little bit of cost savings, I would personally stick with one of the big names on it.
Now let's take a closer look at that, because not all solid state drives, just like anything else, are not created equal. There are other factors in there, the type of memory that's being used, how many times the memory can be written to, and the life cycle of the drive. When you get something from a Micron, or you get something from one of the well-known manufacturers, you're going to see the specifications, and you're going to see what the expectancy. You're going to get all the details. When you get a brand X hard drive, you don't know who it's from, someplace in China or something.
It's not worth the risk. I mean, you're saving a couple of bucks, but it could be a big headache down the road. Sticking with a name brand is definitely the way to go with hard drives. There's other things, keyboards and stuff, where maybe it doesn't matter as much, but with a hard drive, I just wouldn't risk it.
Yeah, well, the keyboard, you type it, it doesn't work. It's just the voice command.
but at the same time, if you stick with some of the bigger name brands like Kingston or what have you, as long as they're reputable and they have you've heard of them before, and there's only like 3 or 4 big ones out there, the ones between those, personally, I can't think of which one is quote unquote better, or which you might have a good experience with one or the other, but I'm pretty sure if you go far enough down the supply chain, they all get their parts from the same supplier.
That's probably true.
So definitely shop
around. For
around.
monitors for a very long time, and we'll get to monitors later. But I remember we used to open up monitors and work on those, and it was shocking how many different brand monitors had exactly the same components inside.
Right. So we're talking about solid state, but then there's also something called the hybrid drive.
Sure.
Which basically is a hard drive that combines solid state technology and magnetic technology in one device. Now, what's up with those?
Yeah, it's basically just expanding the idea of cache. All of your standard magnetic hard drives, the spinning disks have some amount of cache on it. Sometimes it's 16 meg, and I do mean meg, or 32 meg, or 64 meg. And basically what that is that the hard drive will read that data as quickly as it can, and a lot of times will try to anticipate what it is you're going to look for next. So if you're opening a program, it'll read, not just the one file you asked for, but all the files in that area. To try and guess what you're going to look for, so it can put it into that cache that's much faster than the spinning disk to be able to provide it to you faster.
Yes.
And the idea of the hybrid disk is just to expand on that. So instead of having only 32 meg of cache, you might have 16 gig or 2 gig or 4 gig, depends on the hybrid drive. The magnetic drive itself might be a terabyte, but you might have a couple of gig that is actually of solid state, of flash memory.
Yeah, what does Apple call it? I think they call it their Fusion Drive. I think they call it. Apple has a name for it.
I don't. I'm not much of an Apple guy, I'm afraid.
But
I think you're right. I think it is Fusion, but I don't know much about it.
yeah, but basically it's just a fancy name for a drive that combines both technologies. And so in that case, the hard drive is getting faster access because it's using the solid state portion of the drive as cache.
Right.
Too. So
yeah, and a lot of the most important stuff will be loaded in there, like Windows and programs used frequently and all of that, so that you can just get it. You have the advantage of it, but it's not all solid state. But nowadays, solid states are becoming so cheap. I think within the next couple of years, it's going to be rare to see a new computer with a spinning disk in it. I think, or even a hybrid disk. I think they're going to be solid state. I mean, just to give you an idea, right now I'm looking at Amazon, and you can look at a lot of different resellers and find similar thing. But Kingston 120 gig solid state is $53. Oof. And again, it's only 120 gig, but how much do a lot of people need? But if you use that just as your Windows partition, $53. I mean, come on. Or if you need to double that, 240 gig is $85. So these used to be really expensive, and the price has really come down. It's a big difference. There's a crucial 512 gig here for $200. Just to give you a rough idea, you can go and do your own research and so on. But
that's crazy. Like even 2 years ago, when I first got this computer that I'm using, people always like to compare the price per gigabyte. So either $2 a gig or what have you. When I bought this computer, my solid state was $1 a gig, and it sounds like they're coming down to like 50 cents a gig now in just the span of like 2 years.
Yep, you're exactly right. I used to, I'm gonna make Craig feel young and make Ben feel make Ben feel young and Craig old, and I'm gonna make myself feel old. But what it is,
young never would happen.
I remember back when I first started building computers, we used to price hard drives $1 per megabyte.
Yes, the cost.
Do you remember that for years and years? That was the rough number. Was you wanted a 120 megabyte hard drive, it was $120.
Yeah, it's a cost per megabyte. I remember that very.
It was $1 a megabyte for a long time. That was sometimes it went up to $1.10, sometimes it went down to 90 cents, but it was you could usually get up to right around $1 a meg and get a good idea.
We haven't measured cost per megabyte in a long time. It's pretty much cost per gigabyte right now. and I guess maybe in a few more years it'll be cost per terabyte.
Yeah, probably so. Absolutely right. And by the way, I looked up, there was a solid state terabyte drive on here for about $400, just to give you an idea.
And
those are kind of new, though.
That would have been that would have been thousands of dollars.
That's right. Just a couple of years. I mean, 2 or 3 years ago. I mean, not
even if you could even get it.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so it's really changing quickly, and I think you're going to continue to see that happen as production ramps up and as people make fewer and fewer of the old spinning drives. I think this is really going to continue to be the wave, and seriously, it's like I said, if you pay $50 or $80 and put one in your computer, it makes such a big difference. It really is worthwhile.
Real quick, 2 points. The first one being, you mentioned that it will take a couple years before computers only come with a solid-state drive. The most popular computers in the past couple years have been Ultrabooks, and Ultrabooks, they're classified as having only solid-state drives. They have everything loaded onto, like or even netbooks too. Like the Chromebook, those are only solid-state drives. So
And a
it's
big
happening.
reason for that on the Chromebooks and on the Ultrabooks isn't just because they're so fast, but also because they use so much less energy that allows the laptop to run longer. But also they're much lighter, so you can get a much lighter laptop that's uses much less power and is much faster. It just makes so much sense all around.
Now,
Yeah.
here's the question. Will there come a day, or maybe in the near future, where we won't be using magnetic drives anymore? Is it all going to be solid state, or are we going to continue to have magnetic drives regardless of price?
We'll continue to have them for specialized purposes, perhaps. Like you might have some servers that have like a Google server. Perhaps they'll continue to have long-term storage in magnetic just because it's so cheap, and if you need enough of it. I think it'll be a long time before they're gone altogether. But I think for the consumer computer in the next couple of years, all new ones will be coming with solid state.
Right. I mean, we saw it when they finally they gave up the floppy disk for CDs, and then they gave up the CDs for DVDs,
But
and
but of course, there's always the companies that are still using tape drives just because they can store so much.
Yeah.
It,
Yeah,
there's
not
always a
many
purpose.
anymore. I mean, tapes have all sorts of their own problems, but you never know. A funny thing, I don't know if I shared this with you guys yet, but I made a video and put it on YouTube, and I became a little YouTube famous for a minute. I was mentioned in a couple articles. On my Tesla, of course, you guys know I have a Tesla because I love talking about it. There's a USB drive, and the Tesla is basically a Linux computer. And so I was doing testing to see what kind of things I could put in the USB port and the Linux computer would work. For example, the keyboard, a USB keyboard did not work, but a USB mouse did work. So if I plug in a USB mouse in my car, I see a little pointer on the screen, and I can actually operate the touchscreen with a mouse. And I thought, oh, isn't that cool? I'm going to see what else I can mess with.
oh no.
And so I have a USB floppy drive.
Uh-huh.
And so I wanted to copy a song on there because it reads songs off of a USB flash drive, so I thought maybe it'll be able to read a USB floppy drive. But then I came to the problem that all of the MP3s are 3 or 4 or 5 meg, and a floppy drive only holds 1.4 meg, so I couldn't even fit one song on it. I had to put about a third of one MP3 on a floppy disk,
Oh
but
my
I
God.
put it out there and I plugged it in, and it loaded right up. So it felt kind of funny, one of the most modern technological cars,
With
playing
a
an
floppy
MP3
disk.
off of a floppy disk. It just felt right.
At least
But
it's
what made me think of that is all this old technology like that, like zip drives. Yeah, someone was just telling me about a zip drive recently. You remember those, Craig?
yes, I do.
We had so many cases of having to pull floppy disks out of zip drives. I can't even tell you.
Oh. Well, they finally, they came up with a hybrid, so it would read zip drives or floppy disks. There was they came up with a hybrid drive, so that finally that problem went away. Of course, then it all went down the tubes. They all became obsolete. We've seen so many different types of storage. It really is it's amazing to sit here and watch that. So basically, you're saying eventually all people are going to have
Solid state.
yeah.
But
Definitely.
isn't there something also happening with HDDs, the magnetic hard drives? Isn't there something happening where they're stacking the platter so they get like crazy amounts of storage
Yeah.
nowadays?
Yeah, that's true. But the other side of that is, and you're going to quote me in 10 years, but how much storage does someone need? My average user, whether it's at home or in the business, doesn't use a whole terabyte of disk space. Maybe if you have thousands and thousands and thousands of pictures and videos, you might be able to get close to it. But I mean, a terabyte is an awful lot of space.
It is.
And more people are storing it in the cloud rather than on their own local computer anyway.
And also, Ben was referring to also they call vertical recording, with magnetic drives, where it's not only the surface area of the drive that gets it, but it's vertical recording, so they get even more density on that platter. But
Right.
these technologies they're going to be used for inexpensive, cheap storage. I think digital tapes will go by the wayside, and they'll use magnetic platters. But I think you're right. I think in the next 5 years or so, we're all going to see solid-state drives. All computers are going to come with them.
Yeah, I mean, if there's special needs where you need to have 10 terabytes of storage for, in a business or something, or for whatever reason, then, it might make sense to do platters. But for your average user, for normal storage, I think solid state's clearly going to be the way to go.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. And the other thing I want to mention with solid states, if you're looking to, this is the do-it-yourself segment, right? I'm going to save Ben some trouble.
Yeah.
If you're looking to upgrade your computer at home with it, it's really easy to do. You can go out there and buy a solid state hard drive, and the only thing to keep in mind, if you're doing it on a tower, you usually also need to buy an adapter. The solid state hard drives are all 2.5-inch drives, which are laptop size drives. So if you're putting it in a tower, those are usually 3.5-inch drives. So there's cheap adapters for like $6 or $7 that just, it's just a piece of metal that changes that so that you can screw a 2.5-inch hard drive into a 3.5-inch bay. But whenever you order the hard drive, make sure you order that $6 or $7 adapter as well if you're putting it into a tower rather than a laptop.
Yeah, exactly. All right.
Real quick, someone in the chat room that I know we covered it real quick, but they had a question. What was the point of a hybrid drive? And I thought we could go over that again real quick, because people are going to be searching for it. They're going to see it, and they're going to see the price difference between all three, and they're going to wonder, well, why not just get this one? It's middle of the line. Why not? So
yeah,
one
and
more
you
time.
will see an improvement on hybrid drives for sure. And per gigabyte, they're much, much cheaper than a real solid-state hard drive. But usually, these hybrid drives, you have much less, maybe 8 gigabytes, 4 gigabytes, whatever, of solid-state memory on it, as opposed to the whole drive being solid-state. It still makes a big difference in performance, but not as much as a full solid state. I'm more of a fan for the price difference. I'm more of a fan of getting a solid state. If you're really budget tight, I'd get the $50 120 gig solid state to put your your programs and your Windows on, and have the cheap terabyte or whatever separate. You got a little bit of redundancy there if you have real critical things, and you have the whole 120 gigabytes of solid state. I think that's probably the better way to go personally.
I just remembered. I have a question that I don't know the answer to, but I'm going to ask you, and I'm sure you've done it. And I don't know if it makes a difference. Whenever I play World of Warcraft, StarCraft, League of Legends, whatever my computer game is, I have a solid-state drive and I have a hard drive. And don't get me wrong, for most things, I put it on the hard drive because I have like a terabyte and a half. Well, why not? But for my computer games, because I think they run faster and better, I put them on my solid-state drive.
Yeah,
Does it make a difference?
It would be fun to do some testing on that. I'm sure that it makes a difference. How much of a difference probably depends a lot on the game, but also the rest of the hardware on the computer. If you have I almost spilled my drink. If you have a really beefy video card and a big monitor, and you're doing full high resolution, big textures and all that kind of stuff in the game, I bet you would see a difference. If you're just running things at 640 by 480 with no graphic acceleration, then it probably won't matter.
And the bottleneck might be the graphics card rather than the hard drive in that case.
Right.
Yeah. All right. We're at the bottom of the hour. We're gonna take a break. It's our Mike Cermak is here with us for the hour. We're talking about solid-state drives. We're gonna talk about monitors too. 347-884-8881. We're on the Blog Talk Radio Network and the IRN Radio Network and the Boost Radio Network. Stay with us.
Hey everyone, have you heard about the No hair removal device that's sweeping the globe? If you want to go weeks without shaving and get smooth, professional quality results, here's our favorite host, Cheryl, for No hair removal.
Thanks. Hey gals, I love talking about my No. It's this cute little hair removal system that you can take with you and use almost anywhere at home or on the road. No more expensive in-office treatments, painful waxing, and no more wasting your valuable time. Got unwanted facial hair? No has patented Thermocon technology that works on all hair and skin colors, so it's perfect for using on all body parts. And now you can take advantage of this incredible risk-free trial. Get the No, the facial kit, a travel case, and a $100 discount shopping card, and you don't risk a penny to try it. Try the incredible No hair completely risk-free. Call 1-800-953-5415. That's 800-953-5415. 800-953-5415.
Hi, this is Craig Crossman, host of the Computer America Show. You have important meetings to schedule. Your company's getting ready for its IPO, and you're in charge of the PTA fundraiser this month. So how do you coordinate everyone to be available at the same time? Are you still using emails, phone calls, even text messages to schedule meetings with a group of people? How's that working out for you? Not so great, huh? It's a fact that every day, millions of people suffer from scheduling headaches. Well, with Doodle, scheduling meetings with a group of people is quick and easy. With Doodle, you can easily propose available times to each member. Each one checks off the times that they're available, and then you simply pick the time that works best for the group, all in an easy-to-read display that integrates with your existing calendar. Nothing could be more simple. Give Doodle a try for free, and like millions of Doodle users, you'll truly see how easy it is to find the perfect date and time for all your meetings. That's www.doodle.com.
Tag, you're it. This is Marty Winston with a news tips bulletin review for Computer America. This time, the Pioneer BDP-80FD Blu-ray player. Blu-ray keeps evolving, but we don't pay enough attention to it, so we asked to get the Pioneer BDP-80FD Blu-ray player in for review. Its decoders cover most of the video and audio specs you'd expect, including 3D. Its output is HDMI and won't send signals to a non-HDCP, that's copy protection respective device, like some computer monitors. It has a USB input for playing stored video and a wired Ethernet port for playback from across the network, or YouTube, or Picasa content. What you most want to know, it's easy, mostly a no-brainer. Easy to use, and playback quality is excellent. Bottom line, a Pioneer BDP-80FD Blu-ray player handles a 2D or 3D disc, file, or stream like a dream. This is Marty Winston with a news bulletin review for Computer America.
Welcome back to the Computer America Show. Mike Cermak joins us. It is 33 minutes past the hour, and we are talking about hard drives right now. Just kind of getting off the whole solid-state drive and hard drive thing. By the way, I know that price per gig isn't the only thing with solid-state drives. There's also read-write speeds and I/O, stuff like that. Mike, is there anything that you would recommend people do or not do with their solid-state drive? Because at this point, I think hard drive maintenance is pretty well covered, defrag and that kind of thing. But solid-state drive, people may not have done that or had needed to do that in the past. So
You don't have to defrag solid-state drives, do you?
That's right. Yeah, you don't need to defrag solid-state drives because there's not, you don't have that moving component of it. It doesn't matter if things are split up among the disk. And newer versions of Windows will actually detect that it's a solid-state hard drive and won't defrag it anyway. But yeah, you're quite right.
What's basically the idea behind defrag is that the head, it was the seek time of the head to get to the portion of where the data that it needed was stored. But on a solid-state drive, it has instant access to any.
You don't have that seek time.
Any portion of the data. It's all immediately accessible to it. So you don't. It really, the data never becomes. There is no defragmentation. It's just it's perfect.
Fragmentation. By the way, Mike, you posted a link in the chat room, and it's made the rounds and went viral. That whole Tesla insane mode button.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that is a great video.
It's pretty funny. It's pretty funny to see their reactions the first time you accelerate. Now, I don't have the performance version of the Tesla. I have the regular one that only goes 0 to 50 in 5 seconds instead of in 3.2 seconds. But it's still really fun to do that. Whenever I'm getting on the highway, I always love to do that. Just gun it, and it's strange because it's quiet, which also, by the way, is another advantage of the solid states. They're quiet, and there's no transmission. It's just immediate. Don't get me started, Ben. Don't get me started. The chat room's already tired of me talking about my Tesla.
Yeah. No, I think I even showed Craig that video where they press a button and they go 0 to 60 in like 3 seconds.
Right.
That to me is impressive because I mean going from 0 to 60 in 4-point-something seconds with gasoline cars was considered to be hot stuff, and
right.
not in 3, that on an electric car, that's amazing.
It is amazing. It is ridiculous.
Yeah. Now, the thing is, just one other point on that is that you don't have gears that are shifting. So when you're driving on the highway, how you feel the engine shift and the thing, and you're in high gear, and so you don't have to really depress the pedal very much because you're sort of coasting. But if it's all one gear, can you still get that kind of feel for the accelerator that you can just kind of feather it at that point, or?
Yeah, you can, and you can actually choose in the Tesla how the accelerator feels, if it has a lot of resistance for regenerative braking or not, and so you do get a little bit of a feel for it. But it's still very different because it's so quiet and you don't have that transmission, and it definitely has a very different feel to it. One of the first days when I got it, I was I was going on the highway here, and I was passing a truck, and all of a sudden I looked down and I was going like 90 miles an hour, and the speed limit's 65 here. And I was like, I didn't realize it. I didn't have all those normal subtle clues that I was going too fast.
But but again, with the accelerator pedal, doesn't your foot get tired if you're pushing down, because with the higher gear, you can, as I say, you can sort of feather the pedal. You're almost like coasting. It's a combination of coasting and going. But if it's a responsive pedal, you can't really do that on the electric car, right?
Well, it feels very much the same to me. I don't know exactly how the gearing works or what mechanism they have in there, but it feels very much the same to me. Yeah, I don't know. If you have it set on the high regenerative braking, then if you remove your foot from the pedal entirely, it'll come almost to a complete stop. Over time, it'll slowly regain that energy. So,
Unless you have cruise
in
control.
that sense, it's probably very different.
That was nice. I mean, if you're tired of holding your foot there and you're going 140, just throw on cruise control and it'll just
That's
stay
right.
140.
Yeah. I don't think it'll probably stay at 140 for long unless you're in the middle of nowhere. But you can try that.
Okay. Just not so much. Anyway, getting back to the solid state hard drive. So basically, in the next few years, this conversation may be moot.
Oh, it will be, absolutely. But in the meantime, it used to be a couple years ago, we always talked about upgrading RAM. If you go out and buy an extra gig or 4 gigs of RAM, it's going to make a world of difference to your computer. And nowadays, I really think the solid state is where it's at. Throw $100 at that, and you'll get a big performance boost in your computer.
Right. Yeah, because the memory used to be, if you want the computer to go faster, you would just buy more memory. It would run. That was the simplest, straightforward thing you could do to make it run faster. And now it is memory, but it's a different type of memory. And
that's right. Yeah, and the RAM isn't really the bottleneck anymore. I mean, we don't have computers with 256 megs of RAM anymore.
No.
So that's not really the bottleneck on most computers. There's exceptions, and you can easily bring up Task Manager and Performance Monitor and see how much memory your computer is using to make sure you don't need RAM. But 99% of the computers I look at, the hard drive is the biggest bottleneck.
Typically, the average memory size of today's modern computers is how much memory?
Well, new computers are, most of them I would say are 8 gig. You certainly see some with 16, and performance ones with even more than that.
Okay.
But I'd be real cautious about buying a new computer with less than that, unless you're talking about like a Chromebook or something. They don't need as much RAM. But as far as a desktop real computer.
Sure. Yeah, and a real computer. Yeah, and also.
Well, you know what I mean.
Yeah, exactly. And the other thing is that the modern operating systems today take advantage of that additional memory too.
That's right. Yeah. Well, and that's right. You remember back in 32-bit operating systems, you couldn't really use a heck of a lot more than 8 gig. I think was the limit.
Yeah, that was it. Yeah.
You could have more than that in there, but it wouldn't use it.
Yeah, modern operating systems now in 64-bit and everything, they take advantage of all that additional memory. So it's if you buy more memory, it certainly will be used. So.
That's right.
Okay, so that's pretty much in solid-state drives. Any other advice? And otherwise, we're going to move over to monitors.
Do it. I really, it's worth your time and do it. I mean, people would be amazed at the difference. So yeah, let me tell you a story about my monitor. On Saturday, I got home, put my son to bed, was getting ready to sit down and play StarCraft because that is my game, as we were discussing pre-show, and the screen turned blue. I have this beautiful 30-inch, wonderful monitor here. I'll let you see it, and the screen turned blue. Hope I don't know how to aim my thing. And then it went away altogether, and the monitor was black.
It's brown.
It is brown. My background is brown. What can I tell you? And I thought, shoot. So I hooked up a 17-inch monitor I have sitting here to it just to make sure it wasn't the video card, and sure enough, it wasn't the video card. It was the monitor. And so I start shopping around on Amazon, and I pick out my replacement monitor, and to have that resolution, I need another video card. And so, I'm spending $1,000, there on a giant monitor and new video card and cables. And I'm like, this is stupid. And so I started doing some research on it. And it turns out with this monitor and a lot of similar monitors, a common problem on it is the solder joints become weak over time with heating up and cooling down and so on. And there's just like PlayStations and some gaming things, there's a way that you can take the main board out of the monitor. I covered it with some tin foil so that the CPU was exposed, and baked it in the oven and the instructions I found online was to bake it for 385 degrees for 8 minutes. And I figured,
And it was
this is stupid. I was like, what the heck, I gotta cover this motherboard in tinfoil, bake it, and I use a microwave. I don't know how to use the oven. So,
Don't do that.
no, don't put it in the microwave. Don't do that. And so I did that, and I thought, what do I have to lose? It's the monitor's already dead. I was just going to recycle it anyway. So what could possibly go wrong? Maybe I'll be tasting silicon, in my cookies, in the future. But so I did it, and it worked. Sure enough, you just saw the monitor on, and it's been beautiful and working great ever since then. So I was kind of surprised how well it worked.
So it wasn't it wasn't one of those urban myths.
It was not in this case, at least.
If you go to Snopes to look it up, says, is this story true?
You would almost wonder that, the monitor doesn't work. Just throw the motherboard into the oven for a couple of minutes. It'll be fine. But and it makes sense. You got to have the right temperature so that it gets that solder to melt a little bit. But not so much that it's going to damage any of the chips.
Right.
So it's there's you got to make sure you're cautious with it. But man, I was surprised how well it worked.
Random person telling you to put your board in the oven is, of course, science, because it's very, very accurate. The only other time I'd heard something similar was back when Xbox 360s were first being released. They had a failure rate of like 1 in every 4.
I remember that.
And one of the fixes was to wrap your Xbox in a couple towels and turn it on and let it just go hog wild and
bake itself.
Yeah, and essentially it was baking itself, and it would heat up just enough to heat up the solder. And apparently, for some people, it worked.
Yeah, that's excellent. Well, and someone in the Star in the chat room mentions easier just to buy a new motherboard, and that's probably true if you can find one. This screen I have here is about 5 years old, and I looked up the price for a new motherboard, assuming that was even the problem. It could have been the inverter or anything else.
Sure.
But assuming that was a problem, it was like $250.
You buy a whole monitor for that.
Yeah, well, maybe not a 30-inch, but yeah, I mean, seriously, it's certainly a big chunk of it. And then you're still, even if that did work, you're still stuck with an old monitor where something else may die on it. So anyhow, but if it's a newer monitor, that may be something worth looking at.
Were you going to get a 4K monitor or something really snazzy?
Yeah, it was. It was a 34-inch widescreen. It was like 3,500 pixels wide by 1,600 pixels high, something like that. It was super wide, and it was just beautiful. And I could just imagine, now I'm stuck with this tiny little 30-inch screen. I don't know. I don't want to be complaining, but it was very different. But my current video card couldn't support going 3,500 pixels wide, so that was going to create a whole other problem that I would have to deal with then.
I know the video card too. Exactly.
That's right. So anyhow, we shall see. I'm hoping that this will stay working for a while. A couple people reported back that it came loose again and they had to resolder it. And what some people have done is actually put a CPU cooler on that main motherboard chip so that it doesn't heat up so much that it pulls itself loose again. I haven't gone to that extent yet, but I may do that if it comes to it.
Well, you saved $1,000, right? That's what.
Right.
Yeah. The new monitor was going to cost you $1,000 with the graphics card.
That's right. Absolutely. Yeah. Hey, that counts. I can buy a solid-state hard drive for someone in the chat room now.
Exactly. Well, there you go. So did you, by any chance, did you check Snopes just to see if it was a myth?
I didn't check Snopes, no.
I'm curious if Snopes would have it on there. So, no, it's real. It's not a myth. Go ahead and...
I'll have to put it on there now.
Yeah.
It really did work, so that's something worth looking into. I thought I'd share that with everyone, that if you hear of such a thing, it is a real thing. You have to be a little cautious, but, again, what do you have to lose if it's broken?
It sounds like, a joke, and, oh, come on, please, is that going to end? And yet it does.
It's like Ben probably has heard in the, in the game chats, there's a cheat code, press Alt F4.
Oh yeah, press Alt F4, that kind of thing. Just
it's that kind of thing. Oh, your monitor doesn't work. Just throw it in the oven. Well, okay, sure.
There's two big ones. It's a way to speed up your game or lower your latency is Alt F4, and the other one is, well, your game's running slow because your System 32 is in the way, so just delete that. And,
so mean. That's so mean.
So do you have another quiz for us, Ben and
Of
I?
course I do. Are you ready? Have you guys been studying?
Oh gosh, we have been studying.
I've been studying life since I was born, sir.
Now, what's the score so far? You know, we've been doing this over and over. How many? I
Well,
know Ben's ahead. I think.
let me count up here. We've had 6 quizzes so far. Craig has won one of them.
So Ben's ahead.
So
Carry the one.
yeah, we'll have to do the math later. I'll let you know.
Uh-huh.
But so Craig, you want to pay close attention. I don't know if you guys were aware of this or not, but on Sunday, this past Sunday, apparently there was a sports game that was played, and
Oh,
go sports!
Yeah.
And I'm not a huge sports fan, but I thought you guys might be. So our topic today is going to be Super Bowl tech.
Super Bowl. Of course, I have no. Okay.
This will be more focused on the technology side of Super Bowl a little bit.
Okay,
So.
I don't zip about sports, but okay. All
So,
right.
for example, how many floppy drives were used at the Super Bowl this year? I'll give you a hint. It was 0. So we've got 7 questions as usual, and who won our last one? Who's going first?
Ben,
I believe I won the last one.
I think Ben's going first. Yep, you're right. All right, Ben. So you ready for your first question, sir?
Let's do it. Yeah.
All right. So this Super Bowl was the first one to be lit entirely by LED lights, and it saved nearly 1 million watts of power. How many individual LEDs were used to light the stadium?
Oh, I saw that story. I didn't
Like the
read.
music.
Thank you for the music. Nothing will throw me off my game more. I saw that story. It was like power energy cut by like 80%. And
Yes, 75%. Yeah.
Yeah, and as for the particular amounts, man, that's a lot of light bulbs. I'm gonna say 20,000 LEDs.
And Craig?
So the question is, how many LEDs did they actually use in the display?
Right, correct, to light the stadium.
Okay, so Ben said 20,000, and I will say 20,001.
I should have said like something like 300,000, but I said 20.
I should have seen that coming. The correct answer was 44,928. Yeah. That one's going to go to Craig. And I want to point out, Jonathan in the chat room mentioned my floppy drive joke earlier, and he said there were no floppy drives, but there may have been floppy footballs.
Oh, yes, that's right.
That's a clever joke. I like that. He gets a point. All right, moving on.
Inflategate.
That's right, exactly. That was so perfect. I'm surprised that's wonderful. You did a great job there. All right, so question number 2. This is going to go to Craig first. Katy Perry started the halftime show on a giant lion made of carbon fiber skin and covered in gold mirrors. How tall was it?
How tall was the lion?
Oh, Craig didn't even watch the halftime show. I did.
He's beginning to wish he had.
Yeah. Again,
but he is a huge Katy Perry fan, so he may know anyway.
Not really, no. I don't know. I'll just go with 12 feet. I have no idea.
No, she was riding on like the neck of the thing, and that thing, and it was being moved by ninjas.
It was being moved by ninjas.
Well, yeah, the guys in all the black. Anyways, that thing had to be at least 20 feet. I'm gonna say 22 feet, just for a number.
Okay.
Now, what you should have done, Ben, is you should have been a jerk about this like Craig is and gone just
12 feet 1 inch.
But I'm afraid your official answer was 22 feet. The correct answer was 14 feet.
Oh, so I win.
Yeah, so Ben, Craig gets that one. That's right. So we're 2-0 so far. This is not looking good for your streak there, Ben.
Well, I have points to give.
Okay.
That's a nice way to look at it. Number 3 here for Craig. The halftime show's Dancing Sharks proved to be so popular that an environmental group is raising money on Indiegogo by offering to sell you your very own shark costume. How much money have they raised so far?
Oh my God. I think that's
Those sharks were.
They were pretty awesome.
I would say $15,000.
And Ben?
15,000 for the sharks? No number's too high, so 15,001.
I'm afraid you went the wrong direction. The count as of about an hour ago was 13,659.
Oh man. Okay. Yeah.
You were both very close. I mean, that was a stab in the dark. That was very good guesses. According to Wikipedia, and this is for Craig, What was the average cost of a ticket to this year's Super Bowl?
Mean the legitimate box office cost?
Yeah, well, I think that many of them were sold through brokers.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, I know. I think the ticket cost is like $150 or something like that. Yeah.
No, we're looking for the broker, the average cost that the visitor would have paid.
I would say $500.
And Ben?
I'm gonna say 3,000.
You see the big difference there, Craig,
Yeah.
of how he jumped there? He didn't say 501?
Yeah.
The correct answer, the average ticket, they paid $10,352
Wow.
for a
On
ticket.
average.
On average, which one writer pointed out is awfully close to a semester at that college. So that goes to Ben. Ben is much closer in this case.
All right.
So we've got 3-1, and we've got only 3 questions left.
Okay.
No, I can still win.
You can still win.
Legitimately.
And that's been predicted in the chat room. They think you're gonna pull it out in the end here. So the price of a 30-second commercial went up by $500,000 this year. How much was it? So how much did a 30-second commercial cost this year during the Super Bowl? I think I saw a Computer America advertisement.
Yeah, we did. We were right between Budweiser and GoDaddy. So
I thought that was you.
Yeah, big time now. 3.2 million.
We did the commercial about the little dog that got lost. No, we didn't.
That was you guys, right?
Budweiser stole our idea.
Yeah, no. What did Ben say? 3.5 million? Did he say?
He said
3.2.
3.2. I'll say 3.5.
The correct answer is 4.5.
Ah,
Oh.
That's going to go to Craig. So you got to get a couple of these on the dot, Ben. To
double points are apparently available.
Actually, I knew the answer to the question 4.5, but I figured that but I know the answer to that.
Well, of course, you wrote the check. You should know the answer.
See, that's even worse. He knew the exact answer, and then he still went off by a lot just to rub it in my face.
By $1 million, to be precise.
Yeah. Exactly.
Depressing.
All right, so Craig, you're up. Around $5 million was spent upgrading the Wi-Fi at the stadium. How many access points were installed? How many Wi-Fi access points did they install in advance of the Super Bowl in anticipation for it? They spent $5 million on them.
I would say 1,000 access points.
And Ben?
Let's see. They put one where the announcers were. There were 15 on the field. One on south, north, east, and west. I'm going to say
one in the men's room.
In bedroom 753.
It's very specific and closer. The correct answer is 600.
Oh, okay.
That goes to Ben.
All
so
right.
we've got our score coming into the last question here is 4 for Craig, 2 for Ben, and as usual, our last question's worth 10 points. So, this is going to be for Ben. There were over 70,000 fans in the stadium. According to Verizon Wireless, how many social media posts were made from the stadium?
Oh.
From the stadium.
From the stadium during the game and the time right after, how many social media posts were made on the Verizon Wireless network? And I'll give you a hint. The answer is in the billions.
Oh man, 60. Oh man, 1.7 billion Twitters and Facebooks and Instagram shots. 1.7.
I like it.
You're saying 1.7 billion?
And Craig's going to say 1.701.
No, I'll go for 2. 2 billion.
2 billion. The correct answer is 3.6 billion.
There you go.
Social media
Just 60,000 people?
From us, there were 70,000 fans in the stadium and unknown exact amount outside of the stadium that surely would have been on the same cellular network. And it was interesting looking into this. All of the different networks, AT&T and Verizon, and all of these had to bring in mobile cellular antennas on wheels, basically, to be able to absorb the amount of traffic that they anticipated having there, during the game, with all of those people there and all of them trying to use, their internet and phones and everything at the same time.
Somebody say Craig wins it.
Craig does win it. That is wonderful. So we have 2 wins for Craig in the book. You better watch out, Ben. He might be on a streak now. You might be in trouble.
See, but just the fact that he has to overtake me, it's going to be at least another 3 months. we have a whole fiscal quarter just to
brush up on this.
just to come up on me.
Yeah.
That's true. That's a good point. He does have a big lead on you.
So
But
tell
how
us-
long have I been on the Computer America show? You know,
Ah. A long time.
you got some time to spend. You know,
Yes.
there's no rush in this.
Okay, very true.
The tortoise wins the race, Craig. Don't worry about it. Don't let Ben play you here. He's just trying to get in your head. Don't let him do it.
No. Go for the long game. The long game is what matters.
Oh my.
So okay, so we have a couple minutes left here.
1.21 gigatweets according to the chat room. Some good guesses in there.
Yeah, there are. Yeah, exactly. So tell us about techguy.org. What's going on?
TechGuy.org is a great place to go whenever you have your computer problems. If you're trying to install your new solid-state hard drive and can't figure out how to copy your Windows over, or if you're having some kind of weird message come up. You like that? See how I connected that? And,
or cook your monitor. You know, exactly.
yeah, or how to cook your monitor. I don't know that we have anything about that on there, but I'll have to check. We will now.
You have to put it in there now because it works.
I'll have to do that. But anyhow, like Craig said earlier, it's free. It's all run by volunteers, paid for by the advertisers. You can go to techguy.org. It's one of the first big social places to go and help one another with computer problems. So you just post your question. Someone else there will know more than you do about that topic, and they'll give you some assistance and know where to go. It's a great community of people trying to help one another with computer problems. We've gotten a lot more people in there talking about Windows 10 now. Yeah, Windows 10 is a big discussion here. I'm sure you guys talked about the release here from Microsoft, and people are running the pre-release and playing with that. So we have a whole forum dedicated.
Don't you
I love it. I'm a big fan of Windows 10. I am. I'm not a big fan of the name. I'm not sure about skipping the 9. But it feels very much like Windows 8 in a lot of ways. It's almost like an 8.5 for me. It's certainly maybe a 9, but not a 10. I don't know. The marketing department went a little crazy, I think. But I do like the product a lot.
Yeah, and it's the consensus of most technology experts that they're really the same. They're all saying that Windows 10 is to what Windows what's the 7 like when Vista is 7,
2000 ME XP. Yeah, they're excited. They're excited.
Yeah, they're excited. And it looks like Microsoft might actually have a winner this time, especially with their upgrade policy too. And
that'll be interesting to see how that works out exactly. I think that's going to be great. Where the first year is going to be free for people to upgrade. And
the new browser finally for the Internet Explorer. The new.
That doesn't get me. Who uses Internet Explorer anymore?
Yeah, well, coming back to it. Anyway, Mike, listen, I want to thank you so much for being with us here tonight on our 24th year. We begin on the air. And thanks for being with us here on our Wednesday night.
My pleasure. And happy birthday to Ben.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
All right. And thank you all for watching, and thanks again to you, Mike Cermak, owner-operator techguy.org. And we'll see you next month, Mike.
Have a good one, guys. Take care.
Take care. Bye-bye. All right, coming up in hour 2, we're going to do computer and technology news, maybe, and also a DIY. What are we going to be doing? We're going to be talking about editing photos and picture services. All that and more coming up in hour 2 of the Computer America Show. We're going to be right back. Stay with us.
Broadcasting live, it's the only national radio talk show on computers to air every weeknight. Computer America, hosted by national columnist Craig Crossman. The first hour is behind us, but there's still more of tech news, tech talk, and your phone calls. We're being beamed nationwide at ComputerAmerica.com. You got computer problems? Bring them on. You're listening to Computer America. Computers run the world, and we run computers. Call us or send us an email to live@computeramerica.com.
Hello and welcome into hour 2 of the nation's longest-running, nationally syndicated radio talk show on computers. This is the Computer America Show, and I'm your host, Craig Crossman.
And I'm your co-host, Ben.
And again, thanks to Mike Cermak, joined us in the first hour of the show, talking about solid-state drives and cooking your monitor. To get it to work again. If you missed any portion of that, you certainly can listen to it again. We archive all of our shows at ComputerAmerica.com. I just mentioned we just upgraded the website again. We continue to fine-tune it. Everything is there. Just go to the archives on the pull-down menu. You'll see the audio archives. There, we have links to Apple's iTunes. It'll open it right in your browser, or launch the iTunes application if you want to. We have the link to Blog Talk Radio and to the RSS feed. All of our video portions of the Computer America Show are also archived. We have video archives there. We have the link to the YouTube page. We have photo archives, and also, of course, our daily show notes. It's all under the archives pull-down menu on any page at computeramerica.com. So if you missed it, just go back and listen to it. And you can hear how I reigned victorious in the quiz, in tonight's quiz.
Yeah, these things happen.
Okay. So we're going to continue on again. February, the entire month is do-it-yourself, DIY. Month, and in that spirit, Ben thought it was a good idea that we sort of like pick different topics and talk about, how to do certain different things in the technology world. Last night we talked about browsers and privacy, being your privacy.
Last night we talked about how to be private and how to protect your privacy online. The night before we talked about browsers, different kind of browsers, and how to use a browser more effectively. And tonight we are going to be talking about pictures and how to edit them, what to edit them with, how to host them, how to back them up, everything to do with pictures.
All right. So let's get that started. Tonight's DIY segment is brought to you by Slimware Utilities, the official optimization software of Computer America. You can visit them at slimwareutilities.com to clean, speed up, and optimize your system for
free.
For free, exactly. Everything at slimwareutilities.com is completely free. You don't have to use them and then pay for them later or upgrade them. They're all completely free. Our recommendation is to download all of them. Get them on your system. So in case you have some sort of a crash, or if your internet goes down and you need help, you're already going to have them on your hard drive. You can get them started. Just keep them in a folder safe so you can use them, or just install them because they're all free and they truly do clean, speed up, and optimize your Windows system. SlimwareUtilities.com. You'll be glad that you went there, and you'll thank us for it. SlimwareUtilities.com. Okay, so as Ben said, we're going to start off our DIY segment tonight talking about editing pictures, editing photographs. Let's face it, so many of us use our computers to hold all of our pictures. I mean, today's cameras are mostly all digital. Virtually no one uses film anymore. I mean, some very niche, professional.
Very niche. Like there are a couple Polaroid services out there, and you can still buy film. And there are even some add-ons that you can get for phones that will actually print out a Polaroid of when you take a digital picture from your phone.
I've seen them.
But in general, when you take a picture, it's going to be saved on your phone or in the cloud, whatever service you use, and it's going to be a digital photo.
Image. So now you have the photos, and cameras do take wonderful pictures, but sometimes you want to edit them. You want to either crop them or maybe rotate them, 90 degrees or something, or invert them, or whatever, or you want to have color photos and you want them black and white, or you have black and white photos, you want to make them color, whatever it is you want to. I mean, you get red eye in some of them, and you want to remove that. There are many reasons why you might want to edit the pictures that you take, and what do you use to do that?
Well, the first thing I want to cover, though, before we get to actual editing, are things that you can do before you even take the picture. And there are things called filters, where you can put like a sepia filter, or you could put black and white, you could put whatever different name they have for them. With certain applications for your phones, and yes, we're going to focus mainly on phones right now because that's what a lot of people take pictures with. Certain services like Instagram, Snapchat, even the phone itself, come with filters built in, and they'll make your photo look like it was taken in 1988 or in 1888. It'll have some that are black and white, reverse color scheme, that kind of thing. Uh, you can do all those before you even take the photo, which really save you time when you have, or if you wanted to go back and change it to a sepia, then you can go back. It prevents you from having to go back and edit it later. So
Now,
first things first. The
so
only, yeah.
well, you see, it's interesting because now we're getting to the point where there are generations that have been born now and might never have had experience with a film camera. They go, film? You know, it's getting to the point now. What do you mean film? You know, it's getting to that point now where most generations have been growing up with digital cameras, and so when you say filters, it's a throwback to the film camera days. A filter, or when you talk about a sepia tone or a filter, was actually a little glass lens that you would put over the lens, the aperture of the lens of the camera, which would, you know, either filter out the color or give it a sepia tone. And that's basically how you attach these different effect filters, whether it be for a fisheye lens or a wide angle. They had these little lenses that you could put over the regular lens. Now, of course, you had interchangeable lenses that would do it even more, but you could. Most filters basically were little color pieces of glass that you could put over the lens that would change how the image works. So that's what the digital cameras do today. Most all phones and everything, you can take a picture, and then you can check. But the beauty of that with what's on the phone is that you can change it after the fact. See, with the camera, you put the little glass lens over it, and you had a sepia tone, and that was it. You were stuck with it. With today's digital cameras on phones or what have you, you can take the picture normally and then apply these filters after the fact. So you can, yeah. So that's so you can actually see it, and if you don't like it, you could always undo it and go back to the original one. Mm-hmm. We didn't have that flexibility with the actual physical filters.
Yeah, and some of these filters they're really good. Just if you have the photo and say someone has really bad red eye, or someone's shirt just bleeds everywhere in the photo, maybe put on like a black and white, put on a sepia, put on one of these filters, and yeah, it'll make it look a certain way, but it could just be the easiest solution instead of having to go back and either pay someone to Photoshop it if you really wanted the photo, or having to edit it yourself. Just slap a filter on it and call it a day. So.
Yeah, exactly. And not only that, digital cameras today afford you many other effects way beyond what filters could do. I mean, you can do
laser effects and just things you can add in left and right.
Yeah, and you can do panoramic shots. So you can start from one end and kind of move the camera and actually take a panoramic image. Which you get these incredible photos by doing that, and very simple to do. Which was very you had to have specialized cameras to do things like that, but you can do it with the digital cameras. It's easy to do. You could also add additional effects which were just impossible with just the glass filter.
One of the most popular effects nowadays is to actually add text over a photo. So you could give it some context, or actually use the picture itself as a message carrier.
Right, exactly. Or even combine pictures. You can take different images and combine them, and
right. And the mosaics and stuff like that.
Mosaics, you know, you can take rapid shots. You can just hold down the shutter of the camera, and it'll just, you know, take 10, 15, 20 shots within a second. You have all. It's so versatile. You can do all this stuff. Mechanically, this was very difficult to do with film cameras, but not so with digital cameras.
Although, for those of you who really enjoy your control over like your shutter speed and and that kind of thing, apparently with the new iPhones and with many of the new Android phones, depending on who makes the camera, they're actually going to have built-in camera controls, so you can choose like shutter speed and aperture and things like that. You can actually control the camera mechanically and not just digitally.
Yes, and And not only that, and for example, if you slow down the shutter speed, that means you can take pictures indoors. They tend to look a little more grainy, but you can, you don't necessarily need the flash. And if you want to do special effects, so it's now a combination of physical effects with these cameras and digital effects. So it's just amazing. Of course, some of the new ones also have image stabilization that you can turn on and off, so you can actually be jumping up and down or just something, and the image will still stabilize. So it's just some amazing things. Now we're just talking about images. We're not even talking about videos, because you can also do video.
Yeah, no, this is mostly about. Tonight's DIY is mostly about pictures, not getting photos.
Exactly.
Or,
Videos. Exactly. Although with videos, you can look at it frame by frame and extract the individual.
Yes, a video is worth 1,000 pictures, but whatever.
Okay. All right. So that's primarily the advantages of the camera.
But that's just getting started, and then there are actual programs that, and that was everything you can do before you actually take the photo. Once the photo is actually taken, yes, you can go in and use some basic editing software in most cameras, in most digital cameras, and most phones. And depending on which app you actually take the photo with, there are some editing options in there as well. But if you just have a photo that you've taken with a digital camera with no filters or anything, and you want to change something, there are numerous actual programs that you can use to, say, remove red eye or crop someone out or whatever you want to do to a photo. Maybe just make it a photo of you instead of a photo of 20 people. The most obvious one and the one that people always go to, it's a name brand, but I think photoshopping has just become a word that just means editing. Editing photos, and Photoshop is just synonymous with that. It's very, very expensive.
Yeah, but before we get to one of the things that we overlooked with the camera, the digital cameras, and what you said, you take the picture. There is another digital camera out there called the Litro camera, and what that allows you to do is that you literally can change the exposure after you took the shot. It's called the Litro Light Field Camera, and will allow you to take a picture, and let's say the picture is out of focus, what have you. You can actually focus the image after you've taken it, and it's an amazing camera. And it's been around now for a couple of years, and they were very expensive, but now they're getting down to you can go to Target and spend about $250 for one of these cameras, and it will do it. So it corrects yet another problem with digital. If you took it that was out of focus, you can focus it after you took the picture. Okay, but now, as Ben says, let's say you've taken the images now, and now you're looking for a piece of software to modify or edit the photo. And Ben said the Cadillac, or the 800-pound gorilla of photo editing is in fact Photoshop.
Photoshop. It's expensive, yes, but if you're looking for things that you can do, high-power things, everything else on this list that we're going to talk about tonight, it may have some of the features. It may have the features you want and or need, but Photoshop generally has all of them and has a really nice layout. It's just going to cost you about $300-400 for the program itself, and we're not going to get into other means of getting it. But Photoshop is the highest powered editing software you can get out there, and you can do everything from going down to pixel by pixel, recoloring them, cropping out certain things, then using them in other photos. Photoshop is great for if you're into any kind of advertising or you have to create photos for websites and things like that. Photoshop is going to be pretty much a go-to.
Now, as Ben mentioned, it's Adobe's premier product, Photoshop. The landscape has changed a little bit with Photoshop, because now Photoshop is becoming a subscription-based model, where everything is now in the cloud. And it used to be that you had to update it for new versions, but that's sort of changing, partly because of the expense. There are other. Adobe makes other versions of Photoshop, like Elements, what have you, which is not watered down, but it has less
Lightweight.
features, but it has most of the features that most everybody wants to use, and it usually sells for about $100, $99. Elements is still, and that it's called Photoshop Elements. So they do make less powerful versions of Photoshop if you don't need, if you're not a professional photographer, you don't, there are things that you would never use, or they have features that makes it easier to accomplish the same thing. And here's a perfect example of that, something called masking. Masking, you can take, let's say you take a picture of a person, and you want to cut that person's face out from that or from the background. Well, if they have, let's say, their hair is kind of windblown or what have you, it's very difficult to take out that image because it's very difficult to trace over the actual image because the hair and other things makes it more difficult. Photoshop has a masking procedure that makes it a lot easier to do. And as a matter of fact, which leads us into another topic, is that Photoshop is such the industry standard that many third-party manufacturers make specific products that work in addition to Photoshop. They're enhancements. So like with your browser, you can do add-ons, you can do extensions, that type of thing. Photoshop has a whole industry of these extensions and add-ons built around this product because it can be such a powerful feature. So if the one that comes with Photoshop is not sufficient, you can actually go out and buy extensions or add-ons to Photoshop that will give it even more abilities.
Yep. And so Photoshop, it's going to be the most powerful tool. You can get the subscription to the Creative Suite. It's going to be a little bit cheaper, or even the Essentials, as Craig said. But Photoshop is by far the best. But there are others, and the next one we're going to talk about, we actually have in our Computer America free software page. It's called GIMP, and it's primarily a Linux alternative. It's open source and free. I mentioned free, and it will do most, if not all, of what you need to do as an average person. If you are perhaps a budding artist and you are a starving artist and you don't have any money, GIMP is going to be where you want to go because it's the best free photo editing and just art program out there.
Mm-hmm. And there are versions for each platform. They have a GIMP for Mac OS X. There's a native build for Windows. There's one for Linux. They have versions for all the different platforms for GIMP, and it is one of the more powerful ones. It's not as complete as Photoshop, and I don't think anything ever really will be. But GIMP is been around for some time. I'm not sure what version they're on at this point. I was just at the website and I forgot to look at the versions, but the latest version is out there. It's probably one of the most feature-rich photo editing products out there, applications, and again, it's completely free. So certainly that is a motivation too. If you don't want to spend $300-400 in Photoshop, you can get GIMP, and you can do quite a bit that you can do with Photoshop with GIMP. Not everything, of course, but certainly a lot of. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, very much so. The next one is Paint.net. This is one that if you perhaps don't want to put on your computer or you're away from your computer, things like that, you can actually go to. Actually, I have to look up because if you just do Paint.net, you'll actually get redirected to a different website. Let me find it real quick. But it's an in-browser alternative that has all the features of GIMP, but it's built into your browser.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I just went to a painting and construction company.
It's different. It's although actually now that I'm looking at it, it's actually not a browser. You actually download it and it runs along the same lines as GIMP, but from the looks of it, the features are actually closer to Photoshop. It's just a more watered down version of Photoshop. You have to do getpaint.net. It's completely free. You can donate if you want. Very, very feature rich, and you can download it, use it forever, no problem. And it's up there. It's won tons of awards. If you say GIMP and Paint.net, you say them in the same breath. So if for some reason you don't like GIMP, or if you're using a product like some kind of drawing pad that does not work, with GIMP, you can try it with Paint.net. It's essentially GIMP, just under a different name and different features.
And again, now looking at this, it only looks like they have a Windows version only for this, for Paint.net.
That too.
Yeah. Okay, so this is strictly for Windows.
Yep. And then the last one I want to mention is Paint comes natively with all Windows. Microsoft or Mac has, I assume, its own basic photo editing program.
Yeah, well, actually comes with iPhoto, which is the photo editing product.
Yeah. So there's things like Paint, there's iPhoto, things like that. They're very, very basic. They come with the operating system. It's not going to do most of what you want, but if you wanted to perhaps save a picture, edit some small things and things like that. One of the reasons to use Paint on Windows is if you have a photo, but you wanted to rename it, or you wanted to maybe block someone's face or something like that, you just use Paint, open it up real quick, block it, use a big old paintbrush, and you're done in like 2 seconds. So it's not going to do anything or even close to what any of the others will do, but for quick fixes, your basic Paint or other like program built into your computer will do plenty.
Now, iPhoto, although it allows you to do some editing of pictures, it's actually close to what we're going to be talking about next, which is picture services. iPhoto on the Mac really is more of a photo manager that has some editing abilities that you can do, like taking out red eye, rotating them 90 degrees, or inverting, that type of thing. But for the most part, it's a photo management system to keep everything, and that comes free with the Mac as an Apple product. But if you don't like that, or if there are other things, there are picture services out there, which we're going to be talking about next.
Yeah, and the next one is picture services. These are, okay, you have the photo, you've edited it to your liking, now you want to distribute it. And let's go with the public side first, and then it's how to keep them private but also accessible from the internet. And public, the biggest one out there by far is Pinterest. It's mainly female predominant because females like it's very much on fashion and makeup and things like that translate well using photos. But Pinterest is out there. There's many categories. You can tag them with, let's say you have a family pet in there, tag it with your pet, with colors, with themes, and bam, you post it to Pinterest itself. And many people, it's just like a social network but using photos only. Anyone can take it, relink it, put it anywhere they want. It's a good way to get your picture public and available, so you can just send them the link, and then you can send that to whoever you want. It's a great way to make a picture public. Same thing with Instagram, although that your Instagram is more connected to so Instagram and Facebook are going to be hand in hand in that it's your profile, just like Facebook. It's your name, your everything, and then you take your picture, you upload it, and bam, it's under your name, but it's still your photo.
Now, so the difference between Instagram and Pinterest, if you had to, what would you say the differences are?
Honestly, Pinterest, Facebook, and Instagram, all three are essentially social media. But Pinterest is more heavily focused on pictures, as well as Instagram, though Instagram seems to be more of personal pictures, not just like fashion or your everyday life, even though some people use it that way. And Facebook is more of about what you're doing. So Pinterest is just photos in general, Instagram is photos about you, and Facebook is just everything you're doing in photos. And you can use all three to share them, get them online. Let's say so-and-so wants to see this photo, you would use for sure one of these three services if you needed them to see it, because you can upload it, it's in the cloud, and it's available for dissemination.
Okay, all right. Imager is one of my favorite. It's very lightweight, very clean. You go to Imager.com, and right at the top, very button, it says upload images, and you can upload images from your browser. You can upload images from your computer, you can upload images from a web address and save them, or you can even copy and paste them right into Imager without logging in, without putting a name, without submitting an email address, anything like that. You just
choose a photo or choose a location of a photo, upload it, and then you get a link to that photo, and they host it on their servers. And then you can even choose if you want that photo to be private or public. So if you're thinking of a way that I have this photo and this person needs to see it, how do I get it there? The easiest, quickest, best way that I could recommend to anyone is to go to imgur.com and use that platform. And make sure that if you want it public, you want it public. If you want it private, you want it private. But it's lightweight, fast, clean, no registration. Just upload and you're done.
Okay, now I actually never had not played with Imager, but
it's also and Imager also works as a as like a viral platform. Think of Reddit or things like that, or YouTube. You can make things public, and it's kind of like a social media site, but you can also use it for your own, purposes.
Okay, so it's not really a cloud storage site per se.
No, it's more of a social media and web hosting, but it's very clean and very easy to use.
Okay.
So
so the four that you really like are Pinterest, Facebook, Instagram, and Imager.
Yeah, they're great ways to get your photo out there, and even use those for if you want them public and people to see them, or just use a few of them and keep them private if that's what you want. But those are the best ways. Instead of sending someone an email or a text message with it or anything like that, use those four sites to send them photos over the internet. And then the last one is any cloud storage sites. You can name it Dropbox, Google Drive, whatever your online cloud storage solution is. A picture is just a file, and you can upload it and save it there. And most cloud storage sites, they're just your account, your stuff, and you can save it there. And that, again, is the best way to back up. It's cloud storage. So if nothing else, back up your photos to a cloud storage site, but also just put them in there anyways, just so you can access them from anywhere at any time.
Okay.
The Apple iCloud, by the way, is also a cloud storage site. So.
What about if you are looking for images? I mean, you can go to Google and you can go to things like and just search for images like or Picasa,
There's Google Imaging or there's Google Image Search, and you can put as many tags as you want in a Google search, and select images, and you'll find Google Images night and day of what you're looking for. But the reason I put Google in here was that you can do something called a reverse image search.
Yeah.
And that's when you can actually go to Google and go to Google Image Searches, and in the search bar you can actually drag and drop a picture.
Oh yes, I've done.
Search for copies of that photo.
Yes, I've done that, and it's amazing how accurate that comes up. You put it in. I had a piece of furniture that I was trying to find out, the name of it and everything, and I couldn't find it anywhere. And I finally went to Google Images because how do you look for a particular style of furniture? It was a very modern, it was very unusual. And I went ahead and I used the reverse image. I put it in there. Wouldn't you know, like the third image that came up was, in fact, the item that I was looking for, and I was able to find the website and get it. So sometimes picture truly is worth 1,000 words. You need to identify it. Google actually helps you identify the image itself. It's an amazing utility. We're at the bottom of the hour. You listen to the Computer America Show. We're doing our do-it-yourself with Ben and I. We've got a News Test Bulletin review from Marty Winston coming up. You listen to us on the Blog Talk Radio Network, the Boost Radio Network, and the IRN Radio Network. We'll be right back. Looking for a best friend? Brother Wolf Animal Rescue has your best friend waiting just for you. Their mission is to protect and enhance the lives of companion animals and the people who love them. Their no-kill rescue shelter is open year-round, making it easy for people to adopt their best new friend. This year, Brother Wolf will find homes for over 2,400 orphan dogs, puppies, cats, and kittens. All have ended up as an orphan through no fault of their own. Brother Wolf has created a safe, nurturing environment where these special animals can heal emotionally and physically until they find a lifelong home. Their life-saving transport program brings dogs and puppies from overcrowded shelters in the south to rescues in the north where homes are easier to find. Brother Wolf Animal Rescue is a 501c3 organization. To learn more about their life-saving work and to make a donation, visit their website at www.bwar.org. That's www.bwar.org. Help to realize Brother Wolf's vision when no animal is euthanized for lack of a home.
Who's a good boy?
Don't complain about your cable bill going up and up and up. Do something about it. Grab a pencil and jot down this special number. 1-866-663-MY-TV. The more cable TV rates go up, the better digital satellite TV looks. So, disable the cable and get more of your favorite channels in 100% digital quality for less money. Call 1-866-663-MY-TV right now to sign up for packages starting as low as $19.99 and up to 4 rooms. And there's no equipment to buy. That includes your free HD TV upgrade, your free DVR upgrade, and your free professional installation. And the best part, the pristine digital picture and sound. Call 1-866-663-MY-TV. So, what are you waiting for? Pull out your major credit or debit card. Call 1-866-663-MY-TV. 1-866-663-MY-TV. Disable the cable, cut costs, and get more. Call 1-866-663-MY-TV. 1-866-663-MY-TV.
Aw, were you waiting for me? Hi, it's Marty Winston with a News Tips Bulletin Review for Computer America. This time, the Porta-Pow USB Power Monitor version 2. Now, you may have had an inkling that those wall warts and power pucks feeding to USB gear may have fudged their specs a bit. But how can you be sure? Underpowering or power-starving some kinds of gear, like USB drives, has some bad consequences, like head crashes. So we got in the Porta-Pow USB Power Monitor version 2, about the size of a chunky chocolate. It has a short, attached USB-A male for plugging into the power source, and a USB-A female for the power consumer, which can be either gear or a resistive dummy load. A front button backlights the 3-line LCD that tells you the source voltage between 3 and 7 volts DC. USB spec is 5 volts. The amount of current being delivered between 0 and 2.5 amps. The amount of power at DC, that's voltage in volts times current in amps to yield power in watts, being drawn. Bottom line, anytime the performance versus specs of USB products gets suspicious, a Porta-Pow version 2 USB power monitor is auspicious. This is Marty Winston with a News Tips Bulletin Review for Computer America.
Welcome back to the Computer America Show. 33 minutes past the hour. We are doing our DIY segment, brought to you by Slimware Utilities. And we're talking all about pictures. And yes, we're kind of doing the broad strokes here. There are certain subjects that we could go into multiple shows on. When we say that you can edit photos using Photoshop, we've had Adobe on the show talking about Photoshop for an entire hour and haven't gotten close to all the features.
Nothing.
So there are, of course, going to be many, many things you can do within each of these. I mentioned just a few of my favorite ways to get your photo out there on the web, but of course there are many, many other ways. And but the way that we just left off of, though, before the break, is
we Google image reverse.
Google image search and Google reverse image search. So if you were looking for a photo to see if it was used anywhere else or if it's an original photo, you can just drag and drop it into a Google search bar, and it will actually search for that image and I believe it does it by scanning the pixels and comparing the colors of the pixels to the colors of other pixels in other photos. So if it's an original photo, you of course won't get any other matches, but you'll get ones with similar color schemes and things like that. But and like Craig was saying, if you wanted maybe a piece of furniture, you would put in a piece of furniture that you like, and then it will give you other relevant results.
Exactly. I mean, again, I was trying to actually locate the manufacturer of a piece of furniture that I've had for a number of years, and I couldn't find it anywhere. And I looked everywhere, and so and a little light bulb went off. I said, well, let me take a picture of it and put it into the Google image search, and it was like the third image, and it found it, named it, everything, went right to the website and located it. So sometimes, you know, you have a picture of something and you have no way of describing it. You don't have to describe it. You can actually put it into a Google image search, and it will actually find it for you. Very accurate. If it's out there, it's going to find it.
Yep. And there's two more things I want to go over about photos, and one of them I'm just gonna say real quick: backup. Photos, they're priceless. They're hard to come by. You can't recreate a photo. So again, backup. You should do it to a cloud storage site. You should do it to a backup hard drive in case your hard drive crashes. Just don't have your photos in one location. And then the last two things, I lied. The last two things. The first one being screen capture / print screen. This is a command that is found on most keyboards, and this is something that people fail to do all the time. If you have something on your computer screen that you need to take a picture of, so many people out there will pull out their phone and take a picture of their computer monitor. That's not the best way to go about it. If you want that photo, you should use the commands print screen or screen capture. And on a Windows keyboard, it says PRT SCR, print screen. It will actually do like a copy paste kind of thing, but instead of the copy being a snippet of text or what have you, the copy is actually the screen at that moment, which you can then paste into any of the programs we talked about earlier. Think or whatever, paste it, save it, and you have a picture of your computer screen.
Now, just take that to the one step further. If you taking a picture of the computer screen is one thing, but there are some screen capture products that you can buy that will take that to the next level. For example, one that I like to use on my Mac is something called Snaps Pro. It's from Ambrosia Software, and literally what it does is that you can load it in at any time, and then you hit a hotkey that you define, and it will allow you to do. You can take a picture of the entire screen, but you can also then take a picture of any segment of the screen, which you can define. You can literally draw a little box or something at that point, and then take a picture of that. Or you can take a picture of any particular open window that's on your screen. It just gives you a more selective control over the print screen or the screen capture. It'll actually allow you to take a picture of something that's moving on your screen. It'll actually, if you have a video that's running and you want to capture it or something because you're watching the video from some other source and you want to capture it, you can use print screen and you can make a frame around the image that's moving and it will capture it, and it'll allow you to capture not only the video but any sound that it's generating if you want to. You have complete control over anything and everything that you're seeing on your screen. So there are products out there that will allow you to enhance the screen capture or print screen ability that's built into most all computers. And the one that I'm talking about again is from Ambrosia Software. It's called Snaps Pros 10. But there are Windows versions of these products out there as well.
Yep. And yeah, so it's just I'm tired of people pulling out cameras and taking pictures of their computer monitors when people have thought of this before and they have solutions to exactly what you're experiencing. I think the last thing on this whole DIY about pictures I want to cover tonight is removing identifying information from your photos. Now, you may not know this, but when you upload a photo is not just the sum of its pixels. There's actually information on the back end of it that shows perhaps information like where it was taken, the GPS location, the name of the owner of the device it was taken with, maybe some kind of MAC address or something like that. There is information hard-coded into your online picture that people can actually look at and actually find you.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't know that. So there are ways of removing it, and I actually found an article. This was way back in 2011 from CNET, but it's very succinct in showing you how to remove the information from a photo.
They call that digital watermarks. Is basically what you're talking about.
Yeah.
A watermark is again coming from the old film days. A watermark would have something, a marking that would be on top of of a photo that might say "Do not copy," or or it would be an identifying a mark of some sort to show you, who the person was who took the image, so you couldn't make a copy of it, that type of thing. Or if you did, the watermark would go along with it, and so it's sort of like protected, especially the image was copyrighted. And of course, in today's world with the digital photographs, there are digital watermarks. Some of them are visible, some of them are invisible, some are a combination of both. The invisible ones are really difficult to remove, and I guess rightly so, because if you have an image that was taken by a photographer, they basically own that image. Especially if it's a copyrighted photo, they don't want you, using it without their permission. But
Yeah.
there are products out there that will attempt to remove digital watermarks, and we're not going to get into the legality of that one way or another, but they're out there, and they are available to you. So I guess this is what Ben is talking about, removing digital watermarks.
Yep. And the easiest way to go about it is to find the picture that you're going to post. Maybe it's one you're going to share it on those social media sites that you want it to go public. You want everyone to see it. You just don't want everyone to have your name and your address and all that kind of information.
Yeah.
So you find the photo before you post it anywhere. Right-click Properties. That's where you're going to find most of the information about the photo. It's going to tell you when it was created, when it was modified, how big is it, what format it is, that kind of thing. Also, a very easy place to change the name of it.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're going to want to go to Details. And in the Details, it's going to show you the title, the subject, the tags, comments, things like that. If you were perhaps submitting a photo for your class, you'd want to put in tags and comments that you could read and you could identify and you could use.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're just posting it for everyone to go out there, you don't care, you don't want anything, you don't want to be connected to this photo at all, it's at the bottom, big blue letters, remove properties and personal information. And you can then choose to remove everything identifying about the picture and you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's especially handy if you've taken it. But again, if you're using somebody else's photo, that you might not want to do that, because
we're mainly focusing on the legal side of pictures.
Exactly. Yes, exactly.
So,
these are pictures that you've taken and that belong to you.
That yours, and you're going to do whatever you want with them. So you can then go in using just again, right-click Properties, Details, and you can remove the properties and personal information, and then you can remove any kind of information you don't want attached to that photo. You can just remove it all.
Yes, you can. Okay, because today's digital photos have so many identifying features purposely put in. They have geotagging that'll tell you not only that you took it, but where it was taken, at what time it was taken. The geotagging, is part of the sophistication of today's modern digital cameras and the cameras you find in phones. Let's face it, all phones have a geolocation built into them, and so they incorporate that into the images that they take. Again, they can be removed, but they're very handy, because when you have something that's geotagged and then you move it into, let's say, your iPhoto or your photo management system, you don't have to tell it very much about it, because it will extract all that information and categorize it and put it chronologically. It'll know when it was taken, where it was taken. It's very useful. I mean, to have all this information. But again, Ben says if you want to post it and you don't want anybody to know that about you, then you probably want to get in there and remove most of that information. And if you've taken it, chances are, if you've taken the picture, most of the information is readily available to remove. You can probably do that without anything special to do that. Most software that comes with your computer will be able to access that and will ask you if you want to remove it, and will actually show it to you. Now, if you want to make sure though that you want to remove all that information, but you don't want anybody copying that photo for whatever reason, then you can add digital watermarking and passwords that make it virtually impossible to remove without actually ruining the picture itself. So there are all levels of security that you can, as with anything, there's always levels of security, and that includes digital watermarking that you find with photographs, modern photographs today. Okay.
I think, and I think with that, it's that's if we glazed over anything or we didn't cover anything to your satisfaction, send us an email, live@computeramerica.com. We'll go over it again in more depth. But in general, if you didn't know anything about photos or how to use them, how to take them, how to send them, that kind of thing, I think this was a pretty good introduction to, hey, this is how all the kids are doing these kind of things. So
there it is. Okay. All right. Well, we got about 10, 12 minutes left. Why don't we do a couple of news stories that are prominent right now? And this story is from Maximum PC. Paul Lilly wrote it. Microsoft brings Touch Office apps to Windows 10 technical preview. He says you can get touchy-feely with Office today. He says, are you rocking a copy of Windows 10 technical preview? If so, you can kick the tires on 3 of Microsoft's Universal Office apps: Word, Excel, and PowerPoint. All 3 are immediately available to download in the new Windows Store beta, which you can gain access to if you've joined the Microsoft Windows Insider program, and it's really easy to do that, just as Microsoft promised they would be. Okay. In the coming weeks, the same apps will also be made available on phones and tablets running Windows 10, and sometime thereafter you'll gain access to Outlook and OneNote as well. In the meantime, you can start playing around with Word, Excel, and PowerPoint right now, all of which have been optimized for touch and mobile. The Universal Office apps look a little different than their desktop counterpoints. They also sport some new features that make them easier to use on touchscreen devices, like a new read mode in Word for scrolling through long documents. And in Excel, you can use touch to select multiple cells, format pie charts, and more. Now, there's no charge to download and use the apps currently, which Microsoft plans to keep updated. If interested, we actually give some links that you can look at the technical previews for Microsoft Office. But they're available today, and you can give them a try. Okay.
Yep. And by the way, this is the biggest news story that's happened today, objectively, honestly. And this is a story that the FCC chief backs net neutrality, pushes to classify the internet as a public utility, and it looks like it's going through.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is everything we've been talking about for the past 2 years about net neutrality and the like. So this is the beginning. This is probably the beginning of the end, but not the end of the end. So it's a big win for net neutrality advocates. The war over net neutrality isn't over, but it did just swing somewhat in favor of those who support a level playing field and one that's devoid of paid fast lanes. Tom Wheeler, chairman of the Federal Communications Commission, confirmed today that he wants to reclassify and regulate the internet as a public utility under Title II. Again, a section of the Telecommunications Act of 1934. Yes, we're talking about putting it under an 80-year-old act.
Yeah.
Internet. But so this is a big deal because it pulls the rug out from under ISPs that want to create their own rules, like allowing certain types of internet traffic to run faster than others, or even outright blocking services altogether. As it currently stands, the internet is regulated as an information service under Title I in the communications law. That means they're considered as common carriers and not subject to the same rules and regulations as the telecommunications industry. So in general, that means that they can pretty much do whatever they want because they're Title I. But let's face it, the internet is so important and it's so important to everyone's lives. You don't want people playing fast and loose with the rules of the internet. So that's why reclassification as Title II will give them a little bit stricter guidelines and will keep people from just doing whatever they want with it because it'll make them more money, or they feel these services will better, quote unquote, help their customers, which in the end just make them more money. So the actual quote from Wheeler is, I am proposing the FCC use its Title II authority to implement and enforce open internet protections. Using this authority, I am submitting to my colleagues the strongest open internet protection ever proposed by the FCC. These are enforceable, bright-line rules will will ban paid prioritization, hard word, and the blocking and throttling of lawful content and services. He proposed to fully apply for the first time ever those Brightline rules to mobile broadband. His proposal assures the rights of internet users to go where they want, when they want, and the rights of innovators to introduce new products without asking anyone's permission. Essentially, this is the first step in getting the internet to be a level playing field and continue to be a level playing field. The internet has gotten so popular because anyone who's anyone can go on, submit their content, and start a business using the internet without having to ask anyone if I can do this. The internet should be an open playing field, just an open forum, and everyone is welcome.
That's right.
These are stricter guidelines to assure that this is going to be possible in the future.
Yeah. As he said, heavily regulating the internet for the first time is unnecessary and counterproductive, and I agree.
No, that's actually the proponent. This is Michael Glover, quote, heavily regulating the internet for the first time is unnecessary and counterproductive. That is against.
Oh, okay, I see what you're saying. Okay, yeah, exactly.
That is against. Now, again, this is getting political, but for everyone who is against the open internet and net neutrality, things like that, they feel like the government stepping in and telling private companies what they can and cannot do with the internet is an overreach of government. So it's, but at the same time, it's when you allow just a handful of 3 or 4 ISPs that control 90% of the internet infrastructure out there. If you allow them free reign, it's not really a level playing field. It's very much almost a monopoly.
Yeah, this is like it's anti-monopoly manipulations by the government to make sure that those things like that don't happen, because monopolies are bad, and applying that to the internet or because you only have a few places to go.
Yeah.
You don't want to do
the best way I heard it explained was, imagine you own a lumber yard, but someone supplies you your timber for your lumber yard, but that person also owns all the roads leading to your timber yard. You're gonna have to pay their prices, their taxes, and no matter what, they have you they have you right where they want you to pay any price. So Title II.
They have you over a barrel.
They have us over a barrel. So Title II is just going to be stricter. They can't. They have to provide a service. They have to provide a good service. Think telephones nowadays and how common they are and how non-fussy they are. So hopefully Title II, it's what net neutrality has been pushing for, and it sounds like the chairman of the FCC is finally behind it. Now, the last thing that people need to keep an eye on is it's being proposed, but that doesn't mean that there won't be loopholes and whatnot, because as soon as this was proposed, Verizon and AT&T both sued the FCC immediately because they didn't like what was going on. So we just have to make sure that any legislation that gets passed on this type of thing is not full of loopholes and lobbying, that kind of thing. So it's the beginning of the end, but it's not the end by any means.
No, we still have a ways to go, but at least they're on the right track.
Yep, for sure.
Exactly. And that certainly is important. We got maybe one more story here from Engadget. Google Glass has a new boss who wants to redesign the headset from scratch. Totally do it over again. So if you suspected that Google Glass's change of leadership would also lead to a big change in the wearable technology itself, you made a pretty good guess. As part of a tell-all about Glass's troubles, the New York Times is claiming that the project lead and Nest CEO Tony Fadell plans to redesign the head-mounted computer from scratch. And unlike the original, you aren't likely to see any public beta testing. In keeping with earlier pronouncements, one tipster said that Fadell won't release the next-gen device until it's perfect, and that's a quote. Just when that might happen is still up in the air, but the Nest exec's historical focus on shipping over experimentation hints that you won't have to wait years to try Glass 2 for yourself. So that's it. Glass 2.
You think people are going to go for it? Because let's face it, I think Google Glass sold out.
Mm-hmm.
But do you think it's going to catch on?
Not in its present form. I don't think so.
Well, obviously, it's not going to survive in its present form. Anyways, they already said that they're going to redesign it from the ground up.
Yeah. If they can get it, now,
I think but just a heads-up display /
phone, everything. Yeah.
No. It wouldn't be a phone, but it would be an overlay. It would augment. There we go. It's augmented reality. Do you think that would be something? Because it sounds futuristic, and we both know that augmented reality and virtual reality are definitely in the future and in the works, and they're going to be a big part of the future. But do you think people are going to jump on it so soon?
Maybe. I mean, there was a lot of interest. They're still going to have us to solve a lot of the problems. People were, were getting upset that they thought they were taking pictures of themselves of them, but it's by looking at them. We're going to still have social implications with this, aside from the technological ones. But I think something is going to come out of this. Something's going to make it to consumers. What that might be, I don't know yet.
Yep. The success of the Google Glass is probably going to have to piggyback on the success, if there is any success, with the I'm completely blocking the name. I'm like Raptor Vizio. The Oculus Rift.
Yeah.
Oculus Rift.
Yeah.
Those are virtual reality and not augmented reality. But if they can get people comfortable with the idea of strapping something to their face and seeing something different, then Google Glass will have half the battle won.
Would you wear a Google Glass or something like it? I know Jonathan in the chat room has one, and has liked it.
Yeah. I wear glasses, and they say that's not a big problem, but I would need some kind of relevant information. I would need information that I would otherwise be thinking about, but yet not thinking about. It would need to prove its usefulness to me. So just like, I think it's one of those things where it's like, 15 years ago, I didn't have a cell phone. I didn't know why anyone would want a cell phone. Nowadays, I have a cell phone. I can't imagine living without one.
Yeah. Well, not only
it's right now we're like, why would you ever need one of those? I feel like in the future it's going to be, how can you not live without your heads-up display?
Well, it was a cell phone. You didn't want the smartphone. But now you not only want the phone, but you want
90
you understand
seconds.
the value of
I think a lot of people are like that. They see something, they say, why do you want that? But in 10 years' time, everyone has it, and they say, how could you not have that?
Yeah, I feel the same way. Listen, we're out of time. Again, thanks to Mike Cermak for being with us here on tonight's show. Tomorrow night, we're going to have Speech Trans in the first hour. This is a multi-language translation system, one of the most advanced out there. It's available today, and we're going to have the company's chief operations operator from Speech Trans in the first hour. And then in the second hour, we're going to have giftcards.com. These are virtual gift cards that are like credit cards, but you can buy things with them in restaurants. You can take them to the restaurants. You can take them to different places. They're issued by the companies, and we're going to have the company spokesperson, Shelley Hunter, is going to be with us talking about this technology, digital gift cards. It's the way of the future. Anyway, that wraps it up. And Ben and I will see you tomorrow night. So until tomorrow night, this is Craig Crossman, hoping that your hard disk never becomes floppy. We'll see you tomorrow night.
10 seconds.
Good night, everyone.
Thank you for using Blog Talk Radio. Goodbye.
Okay, everybody, again, thanks for watching us on our live video streaming page. And Ben and I will see you tomorrow night. Have a good evening. All right? Bye-bye.
Good night.
Good night.